Welcome back to the channel. We're out the back with Antoinette all parked up. It's a Tuesday afternoon and I've had a few requests for how do we get Antoinette ready to go away for a few nights. So we're looking at going away on Saturday, a few days away from now, but I've got to work, so I'd like to get prepared a few days in advance. So how do we get Antoinette all ready to go away for a couple of nights? We want to go away for 2 nights on Saturday night and Sunday night. So what do we do to get prepared? I'm going to step you through everything I do over the next few days. Lots of videos inside, lots of videos on Antoinette as I take the covers off, get everything ready to go. You can see we've already got the sup loaded up. That was from last weekend, so we've just left it there. So I'll be changing clothes, I'll be filming this over the next few days, and I hope you enjoy. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is really check out the weather and check out the wind. It's Tuesday and we're looking at Saturday and Sunday, but it does give you an idea of what you're in store for, if you should really just call it off, or if you just need to keep an eye on things and work towards it. There's lots of different weather apps we use here in Australia. So let's run a few of them to start off with. I've got my wife's trusty phone, so it has a nice floral look. So let's have a look. Here we have my wife's very nice new Pixel 6 phone, and we're going to look at a few things. Firstly, you just need to check what the weather is like. If it's sunny or rainy, probably the easiest thing to do. So for that, I just use Google Weather, and we need to check out 10 days in advance. So we're looking at Saturday and Sunday. So good news on that front. Nice sunny weather. Warming up a little bit here in Australia, but something to note here is that Google's saying there's going to be a little bit of wind from the west. Not a lot, 26 kilometers per hour, which is sort of around 12-13 knots, and 23 k's an hour on Sunday from the northwest. Monday as well also has moderate northwesterlies, so that is something I will keep an eye on. Obviously, Google's probably not the best app to use to look for wind. Here in Australia, we've got something called Willy Weather, which has quite a nice wind prediction app. So here we have Willy Weather. At the moment, it's just showing Nobby Beach, but you can set it for some different locations depending on how far away you're going. But for the Gold Coast, generally, it's the same, unless you're going really far away. So here it is today, at the moment 7 knots from east-southeast. So down the bottom here you can see the actual wind, and the little yellow and green arrows are the predicted wind. So as you go into the future, you can only see predicted wind. And you can see how accurate it is over time. Oops. So you can see how accurate it is over time. And in general here on the Gold Coast, most of the time the nights have less wind than it is predicted, which is good news for us, but you can't really rely on that. So let's move into the future. And Saturday does tend to build up a little bit. So in the afternoon, we're reaching a top of 16 or 17 knots directly from the west. And the west is a little bit of a tricky wind direction for us. There aren't as many anchorages that are naturally protected from a westerly wind. From the predominant southerly or northerly, there are quite a lot of good anchorages. From the west, it does get a little bit problematic. And for that reason, we could actually end up at Corin Cove, which is a marina on South Stradbroke Island on Saturday night. But the wind does drop off over the evening. And on Sunday, it builds up again, and as usual drops off through the evening. So Sunday evening isn't too bad, dropping down to 7 or so knots in the evening. So that's probably manageable, and Monday looks quite good as well. But it is westerlies the entire time we're looking to go out, which is, I guess, a little bit unusual for this time of year, but it is Tuesday and we're looking a few days into the future, so obviously the weather does change, so it's something to keep an eye on. The last thing that I need to keep an eye on, and this is really a problem just around these canals, is the tides. Depending on where you live, you'll have different, your tide ranges might affect how you can get in and out of the marina. And for us, we have some bridges that we need to get underneath. So if we go into the future, so the Merry Fisher is about 2.7 meters of air draft, so 2.7 meters tall, so we need to get under any bridges, and there's a couple of bridges that are a little bit tricky. And what it means for that tricky bridge, which has a hat of 2.3, or a highest astronomical tide of 2.3, we're way into the future now, the highest astronomical tide of 2.3, what it does mean is that we really can't go above 1.2 meters of tide. So for the whole day, it looks really good. We can get out nearly the whole day because we won't be going out at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But what it does mean is we're probably looking at leaving after lunch. So it means we will be going against the tide, which does use a little bit more fuel, something to keep an eye on. If for going out in general, we like to be going with the tide, outrunning tide, and come in on the incoming tide. Doesn't seem it's going to happen on Saturday, but let's have a look on Monday when we should come in. So here's Monday's tides. Once again, no real troubles with the tide heights, but we'd really like to come in probably after lunch so we get to float this incoming tide and makes life a little bit easier, use a little bit less fuel. So obviously tides don't change. That is something we can rely on now, but we'll keep an eye on the weather over the next few days. So the next thing you're probably going to think of is some food. All right, now for food, everyone has their own ideas around what is best to cook on a boat. What I generally start with is just a piece of paper and a pen, map out all the meals you're going to have. So from when you go out to when you come back, and a little bit of extras in between in case the weather's really good and you want to stay out for an extra bit of lunch or a bit of afternoon tea. So cooking on the Antoinette is really good. The gas cooker, you can fry off some eggs in the morning, you can make an omelette in the morning, you can take something that's fairly easy and pre-prepared. Chili is a really good one, so just have some chili with some salad. The fridge, I've showed in the walk around, can really fit a lot in. Even though it's a single small fridge, it is quite deep. And the one thing I plan is the more complex meals I have at the beginning of the trip, and then try and save some sort of really simple and easy meals towards the end of the trip to keep your fridge room, get everything out of the fridge in those first few days, and then you've got a little bit more space, so your fridge isn't so packed towards the end of your trip. I haven't worked out what my menu's going to be. I'm going to do that over the next few days, think about what we need, and the weather looks really good, so probably going to maybe get some prawns. It's a good idea, don't have to cook anything then. And then what I'll do is start laying out all the bits into the kitchen. So there's a little bit of bench at the back there, and I can start putting things, cereal and dry goods that you don't have to worry about. And it also means that when I go through and remember that I need to take a cable to charge the phone or a cable to charge a GoPro, I can just put them in with all that food stuff, and it means they'll get packed eventually. I find that a good way. I often, it's nothing worse than getting out into the water and remembering that you forgot the tomato sauce, or you didn't bring any salad dressing, or you've got no oil, or all those little things. They're very annoying. So as you think of them, you can just put them on the bench, and then they'll get packed up and ready to go. Also try and make a shelf in the fridge, and can start putting things that I need to remember there, like getting a little punnet, a little container, and putting some butter in there. Rather than taking an entire container of butter, just take a little bit of butter. Rather than taking 2 litres of milk, just take a small bottle of milk. So you don't stack your fridge full of all this packaging. Try and package it down into smaller containers and what you actually need. On that, and I can show you later, usually I make a container and put all the salad in there, so hopefully that's enough salad to last us for the days. As I mentioned, we could be going to a marina on Saturday night. That'll get rid of one dinner, so that makes life a little bit easier. So I'll show you that over the next few days, and we'll keep an eye on the weather, and we'll talk to you soon. Welcome back again. It's Friday morning now, so I'm doing a little bit of setup inside, just gently putting some stuff away. but we want to go out tomorrow, so now's the time to sort of wake up the boat and get everything ready with Antoinette here. But it is a terrible day today, and we're actually expected to have some very large storms come through this afternoon, so it's not what I'd usually use to set up. But today, start waking up Antoinette. So mainly that means putting on the shore power, turning on the fridges, and that also turns on the hot water system, so we have some hot water. Got some rain coming in now, so I'll just start moving inside a little bit. So firstly, that's the shore power, so get that on. So we just turned on the shore power, and now let's move inside and get out of the rain. One of the great things about the Antoinette is, in a day like today, it is all locked up, so nothing's leaking or getting through. The covers, I'd usually take the covers off today, but that's not going to happen. So here's the cockpit when she's all put asleep. So everything's nice and dry, keeps the sun off everything, not that that's a problem today. And I was going to fill up the water, so the water filler is just down there. To fill the water you need one of these. So it's one of the things I'm not such a big fan of. But for fuel and water and waste, you need that to turn it on. Okay, so just filling up the water now, and this does take a fair while. So you've got 100 litres, I think 120 litres of water in Antoinette. I'm not so sure how much I used last time, but I always like to fill it up, regardless of when I go away. You never know what's going to happen. You might need to wash something out or lose a lot of water for something. So we don't actually drink the water out of the hold. It does have a bit of a funny taste. You could boil it, I guess, but that takes a little bit of time. We actually use another 15 litre water tank, which is just beside me there, which we only use for our drinking water. So yeah, we keep that there for drinking water only. If we're going away for 2 days, we will probably bring another 10 litre collapsible water tank, just to ensure we don't run out of that drinking water. Obviously in summer on the Gold Coast you do need to keep your water up, so plenty of drinking water is better than too little. We're still filling up. It does take a while to fill up this one. I'm not sure why, but yeah, it's annoying how you have to hold the hose as well, especially with the fittings I've got. If you had just a normal hose you could shove it down deep inside there and just let it go. Anyway, we'll be back soon. Okay, the water tanks are full, so the other thing we want to do while we're getting set up is get the batteries all ready to go. Okay, so we're just down behind the galley where all the battery switches are. I'm going to turn them all to on, get everything powered up. I keep them off while we're at shore. And the other thing you want to do is just check that your shore power is working. Now, to do that you'd usually have to go down into the mid cab to check the inverter, but as in one of my other videos, we've got this battery meter here, so you can see we're at 100%, and that's the way you can tell. We've got infinite hours because there's energy coming into the batteries. If the shore power wasn't connected properly, that would tell you how many hours you have left, and you can also see we're charging at 14.33 volts. So we definitely got some power coming in, which is great news. The last thing we do the day beforehand is turn on the fridge. So this fridge has a vent, so switch that out. The vent just means the door stays ajar. You see that? Turn the vent off so the door will shut, and turn the fridge on. There we go. So the fridge will be cooling down because I'll be starting to load up. Either I turn the fridge up high when we're on port because we're using our shore power, make sure the fridge is nice and cold, and when we put everything in there, everything stays nice and cold. And when we go away, I turn the fridge power down a little bit. So make sure that's shut. So the last thing that's happening while we're getting the Antoinette ready to go is we've filled up the water, we've got the shore power on. While we're connected to 240 volts here in Australia, the hot water system turns on. So with the hot water system on, that means we have about 30 litres of hot water. It lasts for a day or so, but it is nice to use that, especially for washing dishes and other things for that first little bit of time. If we go to the marina, then we'll have some shore power again so we can heat that water back up. So I leave it on overnight, just so I'm sure that everything is nice and cold, the fridge is nice and cold, the water's nice and hot, the water's full, and the batteries are full. So we've got everything ready to go for tomorrow, where we'll do most of the loading up. The weather's supposed to clear up tomorrow morning, so that'll be much easier to load up. I would usually take all the canopies off and open up everything to get some air in there, but with some big thunderstorms coming through this afternoon, I'll leave everything shut up because I don't want stuff to get wet. So we've filled the water, filling the batteries, we're getting the hot water system on, so still loading stuff inside, but yeah, that's sort of your choice what you want to bring. Also, while the day beforehand, charge up all your batteries. If you use an iPad, if you're using cameras and phones and whatnot, make sure everything's nice and charged up before you head out, so you're using less power while you're on the water. Okay, well, it's Saturday morning and it's boating day. So let's have a look outside and see what we've got ready to go. And just like the weatherman said, it's a wonderful day outside. So yeah, it's a great, beautiful day out there. As you can see, clear blue skies. That strong westerly has come in though, so we will be going to the marina overnight, but that's great. But yeah, the sun's out. It's quite warm this morning, which is very nice. So it's time to open up Antoinette and get everything ready to go. So you let the sun shine in. One of the best bits about the Merry Fisher, have a look at that sky. The air comes straight in, so we're going to open up Antoinette, get everything packed. I've been making little piles up there in the house. So we've got all our food ready to go, all the fridge goods ready to go. So we'll be making a few runs down through the day. We're not leaving till around lunchtime, so it's a pretty easy day today. We're not getting out there nice and early. We're having a relaxed time on a bit of holiday. So time to open up all the doors, all the windows, all the curtains. I do like to do this kind of early, so yeah, the boat gets a chance to breathe and it's not stuffy in here. Get a chance to look at everything and make sure everything's stocked. Just noticed that this is my fresh water supply. So it's a 10 litre bottle here. So as I was saying when I was filling the water, we don't drink out of the hold water. It tastes a bit funny. So we use this fresh water supply. So I'll take that back up and load it up. And they're the kind of little things that you'll find while you're mucking around on the boat, is there'll be things you sort of forget. Just try and limit those things that you forget, so you have a nice enjoyable journey. But yeah, the more you come down, you sort of pick up on little things that you might that you need to remember. But I just go through all the cupboards, everything, and make sure they're stocked and have everything I need, especially like coffee, all the essentials, some coffee, some beers, some wine. Make sure you've got everything that you want for a nice enjoyable time out on the water. Alright, so I'm going to be doing a few trips. I'm going to be opening up everything, and we'll see you soon. One of the nicest things about going out is obviously those sunset drinks, especially when you're on anchor. Having a nice beverage while the sun goes down is a special treat, so don't forget to pack whatever you need to drink. If you can, canned beverages work really well because there's less waste. So having lots of bottles on the boat is, you have limited room, so cans you can squash down and put into the bin, and bottles are a little bit more tricky. Obviously wine is a little bit tricky, but the other thing I'd suggest is make sure you take enough. You never know if some friends come over or something like that. You can always put an extra bottle of wine in. Doesn't have to stay in the fridge, just have it somewhere in the boat for those extra guests. So time to pack up and get that fridge stocked. So I'm on board. We've been doing all the packing. I've been running up and down, bringing the clothes, the groceries, the beers, everything we need for the next few days. Just had a shower, so I'm nice and cooled down a bit again. It's a bit of a warm day here today. You can see out the back it's a lovely day, there's not a cloud in the sky. Those westerly winds have got up, so I'm really glad we're going to Marina. So that's part of that planning. You need to keep your eye on the weather, and especially for our case the wind. You might need to change your plans or look at a harbour or an anchorage that you can go to get out of that wind. It's alright maybe staying for a little while, but if you're staying overnight you definitely want to get out of the wind. So now's the chance that I usually sit down and think about what's going to be happening each day and how everything that I need is to make sure it's packed. Like for instance, we're bringing this up, paddleboard. Now have you got the paddle? Have you got towels? Have you got tea towels? Have you got dishwashing liquid? Have you got olive oil for cooking? Usually those things we keep on board, but you know, they come off to get washed and things like that. So just to make sure, run through your head everything that you might need over the next few days. It's better to pack it and not use it than to suddenly be out and find that you need something. I usually have a spot in the house where if clothes or the bedding comes up to get washed, I put it back there, so when I'm ready to load the boat up again, I always go there and make sure anything that's left there, I know it has to come back down to the boat. So it's just a time now to have a think. Have you filled up all the petrol that you need? So we've got a generator that we use for coffee. We've got the tender, the outboard on the tender. Have they got all the petrol? The generator needs unleaded petrol, and the outboard is two-stroke, so it needs oil in the petrol. So you can't have the same bottle for both of those. So make sure you've got all those filled up and topped up and ready to go. Top up your fuel tanks, or you might need to go to Marina to do that. Ours are nice and full, which is good. So just run through everything that you might need while you're away, and hopefully we'll have a good ride. So in a little bit, we're just going to do the last little preparation, have a think and look around the house for everything we need, get the puppies ready to go, and then we'll be ready to cast off. This westerly is a bit annoying. It's pushing right up our canal here. It seems to have died off just in the last few minutes, but it is predicted to be reasonably strong all day, up almost to 20 knots. So I don't expect a very comfortable ride, but very happy I'm going to the Marina, and we'll be off soon. Just while I'm down here, I thought I'd just show you the fridge. So this is the fridge in the Merry Fisher. It is quite a small unit, but you can pack a lot in. So we've got some chili for dinner in a couple of days. So we've got beers and wine in there. Everything we need for the next few days. It is very deep, so it goes back a long way. And with this fridge, I have also found that if the lettuce gets pushed to the back, it does freeze it. So that's how we pack our fridge. Alright, well, we've got everything aboard. We've got some puppies down there somewhere. Where are they? Oh, there they are. Hello. So we've got everyone aboard. We've got everything we need, fingers crossed. So it's all time to go. One of the best bits is turning everything on, taking the covers off, and making a final check of all your systems before you get rid of the ropes. And so that's turned on, out of gear. Always the best sound of all. So we've got everything running, we've got fuel, we've got all our systems on. We've got a very nice day ahead. We've still got that westerly wind, but we'll get over it. So, first mate, where's first mate gone? First mate's going outside to let go of the ropes. Oh, one last thing before we go, especially today, might need that. You'll notice my trim is right up because we are in the fab dock. So I'll try and show you what we're doing as we let the ropes off. There's really only one rope that matters today, which is this one right here, which is we're getting pushed right into the fab dock today, so that's the one that's holding everything. And probably need my assistance to get rid of it. away. Everyone first mate aboard, got all the puppies aboard. So I hope you enjoyed this video of us getting set for a few days away. If you have any questions, please put in the comments down below. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.